ain't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Alright, y'all. Boruto Chapter 7 spoilers review. This chapter right here seems like it's going to be a very decent chapter. First things first, obviously, is going to be Boruto versus Mitsuki. This right here is something that has been like very much anticipated. And even technically, like prior to the time skip, if you guys do recall, there was that little panel that did actually show Mitsuki going against Boruto. And now we finally get to see it. But unsurprisingly, it went kind of how a lot of people thought it would go. Boruto watched Mitsuki. It wasn't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I think that at this particular point, it shouldn't necessarily be a surprise simply because Boruto is simply that good. Now, a couple of things. How strong was Mitsuki? I think at this particular point, we can't really tell for sure. Simply because Boruto is just that guy. If you guys do recall, back in chapter 1, or chapter 2 and 3, when he fought against Cold, we all knew that Cold was supposed to be up there with Jigen, potentially even surpassing Jigen, also stacking on top of it a Karma Seal. Boruto made quick work of Cold. Boruto makes even the strongest of the strongest look absolutely fodder. So in comparison to when we talk about how strong Mitsuki could possibly be as of right now, I'm still going to say, I don't know. It's completely undetermined, but I think a couple of things that should be like thought about. I think Mitsuki's speed is definitely up there. The battle started off like how regular Naruto battles started off, with them throwing shuriken. Mitsuki throws out a couple of snakes, but during the battle, there's a lot of dialogue between Mitsuki and Boruto, and at this particular point, Mitsuki kind of made it clear that Boruto was stronger than him. And I thought this right here was kind of confusing, but regardless, not only did he say that, but he was also stronger than Kawaki and Code. He didn't necessarily say he was stronger than Code, but he basically made the reference that, hey, Boruto by himself drove back Code, which kind of makes it seem like he's stronger than Kawaki. I do have to reiterate this right here is unconfirmed translations. When the original translation come out, a lot of this stuff could be different, but as right now, this is what we have to work with. But if this is the case, I do have to say, this doesn't necessarily guarantee anything. This is just Mitsuki's own personal point of view. We kind of gotten swiped or wrapped up in our own character's point of view in regards to scaling kind of before. A couple of clear reasons why this right here might not be totally accurate. Mitsuki probably never really seen Kawaki go all out, so I'm not entirely sure if he can actually tell. If you guys will recall, back in the day when Kawaki essentially said that Naruto might be stronger than Jigen, that wasn't anywhere close to the truth. And that right there, in my personal opinion, is probably because Kawaki also at that particular point never really gotten to see Jigen fully go all out with his Karma Seal, and plus with him absorbing some of the 10 tailed chakra, so a bunch of stuff like that. So I will say currently it's just not confirmed. It just seems like it, and of course we do have to take that into account as well. Then Mitsuki used the snake clones. Boruto cuts them down easily. One of the things that looks like it's a theme throughout this whole entire fight is lightning style. It looks like Mitsuki is using lightning style, and Boruto is also using lightning style to counteract his lightning style, so he himself won't be affected by the lightning style. And of course he cuts down all of the clones. After he cuts down all of the clones, Mitsuki throws a lightning style jutsu at Boruto. Boruto counters with thunderclap arrow, and then all of a sudden Boruto appears directly behind Mitsuki. In my personal opinion, he probably used flying Raijin at this particular point and appeared right by Mitsuki, and then the battle was essentially over. He essentially pulled his sword and put it at Mitsuki's neck, and the battle was over. At this particular time, they started to have more dialogue, and I think the dialogue is probably going to be a little bit more interesting than an actual battle. First things first, Boruto pretty much flat out told him that he was his son. And again, official translations haven't necessarily been out yet, so we do have to wait with all of these with all this dialogue and all of it being extremely important. I just really do want to see the official translation to see exactly how they interpret this Japanese. But regardless, Boruto essentially tells Mitsuki that he's his son and essentially forces Mitsuki into a dilemma. At this particular point, it was kind of made clear that Mitsuki was lost per se, and he didn't necessarily have any sort of direction. At this particular point, he said that he came to confront Boruto knowing that he probably would die, knowing that Boruto was stronger than him, and he didn't necessarily care. And Boruto took from that Mitsuki was just acting way too reckless, and of course he kind of told him the whole son thing. And at this particular point, it seemed that Mitsuki kind of bought it. And not only that, I'm pretty sure you guys know, Boruto's on a 3 with Shikamaru and Ino. Boruto also relayed the fact that Naruto is not actually dead, and this right here was like a big thing in past chapter 6. But he did actually say that he wasn't actually trying to kill Kawaki. He was really just trying to punch him, have him come to his senses, something like that. Again, unofficial translation, so we got to see how that comes out. But they made it clear that he wasn't really trying to kill Kawaki, and I think that right there is something that we probably could have assumed simply because Boruto up to this point, he didn't necessarily show any ill will or like ill feelings toward Kawaki. And if you guys do recall, this right here is going to be something very important specifically for Mitsuki because it's not confirmed to him. Mitsuki still does believe that Kawaki could possibly be his son. For him to be receptive to almost anything Boruto is saying, he has to like relinquish that threat or that concern for Mitsuki for him to start to rationally start to think about specifically what's going on. And I think that Boruto, not only does he understand this, But I think that he actually doesn't really have any sort of ill will towards Kawaki because he did build that brother to brother relationship with Kawaki. Now I definitely do want to see exactly how Kawaki reacts to this. One of the interesting things that Boruto did actually tell Shikamaru during this chapter is that omnipotence is probably going to erase their memory of that specific conversation of omnipotence being the thing and that Naruto is actually alive and a bunch of other things like that. I definitely do want to see exactly how this process works, because again, we've kind of already been told that omnipotence is kind of like a rewriting thing, but we don't really know specifically how it works. Like, does memories get rewritten like after every week? Is it rewritten like every 24 hours? Like, I don't know specifically how this right here is actually going to be going. But one of the things that we do have to anticipate in the future is going to be the Shinju. One of the things that we didn't necessarily get to see in chapter 6 was any appearances of the Shinju and specifically what their future plans were going to be. At the end of this chapter, we did get a cliffhanger of Jura essentially starting to mobilize. He was kind of reading a book, it seems like it was about Naruto, and it said that he couldn't necessarily get any answers about Naruto, so it seems like he's going to have to meet Naruto. At this particular time, I know we're just talking about spoilers, we're not really talking about predictions or previews or anything like that. It seemed like they could be setting up a 3v1 with Kawaki, Mitsuki, and Boruto versus Jura. That's just how it seems to me. But regardless, I think the big thing that we should be taking away from this is the fact that the Shinju, they are now starting to mobilize. We got away from the Boruto is coming back to the Hidden Leaf Village part of the arc, and now we're actually going to the actual villains, which is the Shinju. And I think this right here could be some very, very important and very, very entertaining content. Now, outside of Jura, because I don't necessarily think that Jura is going to be the one to actually attack first. I mean, the next person that we could possibly be assuming is probably going to be Bug. After that, it's probably going to be Matsuri. I'm guessing that Jura and Sasuke, or Jura and Hidari, are probably going to be the last two that actually do start to activate or actually do get into action. But if they start off with Jura, I wouldn't be mad at all. This is the big dog, or supposed to be the big dog. I'd absolutely love it. And to be honest, we still don't even know exactly who he's a Shinju of. Is it going to be Jigen? Is it going to be Kawaki? Is it going to be Ishii Gyotsuki himself? So there's a whole bunch of other things that we don't fully know. But one of the other things that we do have to talk about, and this right here comes as no surprise to anyone, it looks like Boruto and Mitsuki are actually going to form a sort of team. Now, I don't fully know, but it seems like Boruto did kind of invite Mitsuki back to his house. Now, in my personal opinion, I think that this right here makes all the sense in the world, specifically for a couple of reasons. I personally believe that this is going to be the time for Mitsuki to actually make a decision for himself. If you guys do recall, there's actually, I believe in chapter 3.5, the Mitsuki part of the manga, and also this was around episode 36 or 37, I believe 37, but around that type of episode, there was like a standalone episode with Mitsuki, and it kind of talks about Mitsuki's son, Mitsuki's moon, and a bunch of stuff like that. And of course, this right here is going to be the time where Mitsuki has to make that decision. If you guys do recall, at that particular time and during that particular chapter and during that particular episode, Mitsuki had to make the decision to trust either Orochimaru or his older brother Law. The whole point was to have Mitsuki choose his own path, and in my personal opinion, this right here is exactly what's going to happen. And if you guys do recall, that specific idea was to get Mitsuki to unlock Sage Mode. This could be a decision to actually get Mitsuki another power up as well. I just wanted to put that out there because I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to be talking about that a lot more this month. But let me know what you guys think about these spoilers in the comment section down below. Again, I do want to talk about this a lot more. Once the official translations do come out, I'm probably going to be talking about it. But it's been your boy Bard B, and we out.
It's a knife.